The smell last night in Seattle was ultimately a good one for Pete Carroll. You saw how excited and energized he was. The guy's going to be 71 in 2 days.
It's crazy.
He was happy. He was effervescent. I was telling my nephew last night, we were watching the game, and he is like two different guys. Like when he's not in a football stadium, he's like the old mob boss who tries to act rickety and senile on his way to trial and wearing a bathrobe and slippers. And then all of a sudden, he's Superman when he's in a stadium. It's an unbelievable transformation.
It is.
It really is. And look, yes, he wanted them to boo. Why? Because he wanted to win. He wanted his football philosophy to be vindicated. And it was for one night.
Yeah.
They weren't going to let Russell Wilson beat Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Aaron Rodgers. They refused to do it. And so they had Geno Smith play the role of the quarterback in their system, and it worked. And in their first effort, they beat Russell Wilson in a setting where it was let Russ cook, except for the very end. We'll talk about that coming up. But that's why Pete Carroll was happy, not just to get the win. He was, in the only data point we're going to have from multiple years, head-to-head with Russell Wilson, unless they meet in a Super Bowl, and God, I hope they do, he was proven right.
Yeah, listen, that was personal, I think. I do. I mean, obviously that was a great relationship and added, it was a great success. They're the greatest little era of the Seattle Seahawks franchise by far, with Russell Wilson, the Legion of Boom, Pete Carroll. So that's all fine and dandy, but we know that there was a lot of politicking going on up there with Russell Wilson and things he was saying about the offense wanting to be changed and, looking at other options. Both times he was getting close to becoming a free agent or anything. Is there anything out there after the, rookie contract was up? And then, of course, I think we all know from 2 years ago, he was putting the pressure on the Seattle Seahawks franchise to, maybe make something happen or trying to let it be known that maybe he wants to get out of there. So that wasn't an easy thing for Seattle or Pete Carroll to deal with there for a few years. They towed the line of, wait, hey, we like Russell Wilson, he's the great guy, and blah, 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 but also having to deal with him and his agent and the personal needs that Russell Wilson had. Yeah, I think, of course, that was personal last night. And the Seahawks, the one thing you could say about them, and again, I don't know how good they're going to be. I'm not expecting playoffs, but, man, they're most teams are a reflection of their head coach. You talked about it. Their head coach is about to be 71, and he's still psycho and running around, and that's the way their team plays. They're psycho and running around. And then I also thought just the great aspect of it, as we get into the nitty-gritty here, was so cool, is the fact that, let Russ cook. And they came out throwing the ball with Geno Smith, and I think that was a huge curveball to everybody's, surprise as well. We thought, they'll run the ball and play normal Seattle ball. And they trusted Geno, and he played really well, especially in the first half. He played really well.
Right down the field, touchdown pass to Will Dissly. He was 13 for his first 13. Geno Smith was really good, and we'll get to Geno.
Yeah.
The thing you said about Russell Wilson, you weren't here on Friday. I always have to sift back through my memory banks or Wednesday or Thursday for that matter.
Yeah.
So we haven't had a chance to talk about this. At one point last week, in his effort to put the spin, the don't boo me spin on the situation, he said they tried to trade me a couple of times. And I pointed out in the aftermath of that,
I saw the article
for years now. Number one, 2018, they dangled him to the Browns for the first overall pick that would have become Josh Allen. And all
100%.
those people are like, oh, yeah, now it's easy to say it now. He's been saying it for years.
Yes.
It wasn't something we're just saying now because Josh Allen is the greatest quarterback in the NFL currently.
Right.
Maybe. Patrick Mahomes has something to say about that.
Does,
That's a topic for a different segment. But you've been saying it for years. And I heard recently that in 2019 they did the same damn thing. They were going to send him to Arizona for the first overall pick and take Kyler Murray. And at the core of this, it's dollars and cents. It's how much money are we going to pay a quarterback that we aren't going to say, here's the keys, drive the car wherever you want.
Right.
Because they could have had Kyler Murray on a 4-year deal worth $35 million total.
Yes.
They're paying Russell Wilson $35 million per year. At least they were.
Yeah.
That's where the disconnect was happening. And I remember saying this at one point. If you're not going to use him like a franchise quarterback, if you don't believe in him that way, why are you paying him that way? And why aren't you trading him to a team that will embrace him and use him that way, which is ultimately what happened. So it really was mutual.
Yes.
But there was enough responsibility for Russell there. And again, they want to win the game. They've got their number 12 retired for what they do by way of creating noise and setting off the local Richter scale when Marshawn Lynch has the Beastquake touchdown run. Of course they're going to do what Pete Carroll wants, and it had to have helped. There's no way it hurt.
No, it definitely didn't hurt. And again, even though Russell Wilson, he tried to get out of there. Yeah, they tried to trade him, all that. It doesn't matter. In this type of moment, the fans, even though they're going to be loyal to Russell Wilson as time goes on, it's just not for that night. No, it was too new. The Band-Aid was just ripped off. And there's no doubt, yes, they tried to trade him to Cleveland. And they were going to go, hey, you have him. Give us the first pick. We're going to get Josh Allen. 100%, that's the truth. So that's a real thing. And I understand that, too, to what you're explaining with Seattle. Seattle went to 2 Super Bowls with that rookie contract quarterback formula. And I think Pete Carroll, John Schneider, they looked at it and said, hey, let's do that again. We'll build great depth on the D-line, get the O-line, have a few good drafts, blah, 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 and build like that and see if they can replicate that. And I think that's been on their radar for the last few years. But we know what happens in the NFL. Quarterback gets good, team wins, media gives quarterback all the love, quarterback. And as a franchise, you get, put in the corner there of, wait, are we going to really let this guy out of here? The fans love him. And, man, quarterbacks in this league, it's rare for them to be this good, and we got one. And so that's that. I think the pressures of the situation, the politics of the situation took over there. And I think that added to a little friction of, the relationship.
And look, there's an alternate universe out there where Josh Allen is the quarterback of the Seahawks, Kyler Murray is the quarterback of the Seahawks, and who knows how that would have gone. But we know how it went with Russell Wilson. Like you said, they had their 2 Super Bowl appearances when he was on his rookie deal. They got to the point where it was done, and they were together again last night.